Beneath the vast blue sky, where the gentle morning sunlight filters through the treetops, the wise woman walks with a dignity that needs no words. Without a resounding cry, without a glance begging for recognition, she, the wise woman, carries within her a powerful stillness, like a calm lake reflecting eternal light. Her soul has heard the tender whisper from heaven, "You are mine." Those words, like spring rain falling gently, soak deeply into her barefoot steps on the field of life, nourishing an unshakable faith. The wise woman, named Sarah in ancient tales, does not need to raise a flag to prove her strength, for she is enveloped by the invisible hand of the Creator, like a mountain standing firm against the cold winds of doubt and the schemes of the world. When storms approach, dark clouds obscure the sky and thunder roars, the wise woman remains upright, not because she is invincible, but because she is upheld by a greater strength. She is the resilient wild grass, sprouting from the cracks of barren rock, unbowed by the tempest, for her roots dig deep into the soil of faith. She has traversed dark valleys, where light seems but a distant memory, yet even in the shadows, she is never alone. The wise woman, like Ruth in the golden barley fields, has witnessed other women rise from the ashes of suffering, unconsumed by the flames, but radiant like sunlight piercing the morning mist. They are queens, dancing through the storm with unshaken crowns, for their dignity is forged in the furnace of trials and sheltered by the everlasting love of God. Meeting the wise woman, you will feel her presence, like a cool breeze blowing through a meadow at dusk, carrying the fragrance of peace and strength. Without words, she tells a story of a steadfast heart, a soul guided by divine light. She is living proof that those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. Needing no spotlight, no applause from the crowd, the light of the wise woman, like Esther standing before the throne, comes from the flame of faith burning eternally in her soul. Her dignity lies not in what the world sees, but in how she walks, like a river flowing smoothly over sharp rocks, unhindered by malicious whispers or the waves of envy. The wise woman, like Mary sitting at the feet of Jesus, carries a quiet confidence, without boastfulness. She knows that each of her steps is guided, each breath protected. She seeks no validation from the world, for she has been named by heaven. And today, we will explore 8 sacred signs, 8 lamps illuminating the path of the wise woman, protected by God from evil. This is the journey of Sarah, of Ruth, of Esther, of Mary, and also the journey of you, of me, of any woman who chooses to walk in the light of God. The wise woman is not perfect, but she is guided. She is not invincible, but she is sheltered. And in this story, we will see how she stands firm, how she loves, how she lives with purpose, like a tree standing tall in the wind, like a star twinkling in the dark night, guiding those who seek the light. In the golden glow of sunset, when the last rays of the day shine through trembling leaves, the guided woman stands still, quietly observing the world. Unlike those swept away by false smiles or sweet words that pass like a fleeting breeze, she, the bearer of divine light, stands firm like a pine on a hilltop, unmoved by the winds of deceit. Her soul senses the truth, not through books, not through human lessons, but through the gentle whisper of heaven, like a cool stream flowing over rocks, seeping into every corner of her heart. She knows that not every blessing comes from a sincere heart, and not everyone who calls her friend bears good intentions. The woman who carries light, like Deborah under the palm tree in ancient stories, possesses a sacred gift, spiritual discernment. She does not rush to judge, nor does she let honeyed words cloud the eyes of her soul. Instead, she listens, like the earth listens to the sound of falling rain, sensing a shift in the air when something is amiss. While others are enchanted by glittering appearances, she, guided by God, peers into the essence, like moonlight piercing the night, illuminating hidden corners. She does not ask, "What does this person look like?" but rather, "How does this soul feel?" She knows that charm can be a mask, and kindness can conceal schemes, like dark clouds hiding dangerous lightning. When the whisper of God arises, whether as a gentle feeling in her heart, a fleeting unease, or a word in the night, the guided woman listens with full attention. She needs no clear evidence to act, for her faith, like the roots of an ancient tree deep in the earth, is strong enough to guide her. She recalls days past when she ignored that quiet voice, when she let logic override intuition, and the price she paid was scars on her soul. Those scars, like the rings of a tree, taught her to cherish the sacred whisper above the noise of the world. Now she, walking in the light, does not wait for the storm to strike before departing. She senses the gathering clouds, hears the wind change direction, and moves before the lightning falls. This is not fear, but faith, like a seagull soaring high before the storm, knowing a safe sky awaits. The woman who carries light, like a small flame burning bright in the night, avoids the traps of the enemy through this wisdom. She is not deceived by wolves in sheep's clothing, nor drawn into doors leading to darkness. People may wonder why she always evades harm, why trouble seems never to reach her doorstep. It is not luck, not chance. It is discernment wrapped in obedience, like a bird flying with the current of God's wind, leading her away from invisible snares. Those who walk in wisdom will be protected, like a swallow finding its nest amid the storm. The woman who carries light does not chase appearances. She focuses on essence, and thus she walks safely, wisely, sheltered by the hand of the Creator. In the gentle light of dawn, when dewdrops sparkle on leaves like precious gems, the cherished woman walks with a light heart, like a bird freely soaring in the blue sky. She, the bearer of trust, once clung tightly to relationships like holding dry branches in winter, hoping to keep them forever by her side. But now, she no longer holds on. She has learned to let go, like a river releasing leaves to drift with the current, not out of coldness, but because she understands that when God removes, it is to save. The cherished woman, like Hannah praying in the temple, has realized that each goodbye is a door opening to peace, each loss a lesson drawing her closer to the light of God. In days past, she, walking in grace, once pleaded for those who had drifted away to stay, once tried to change herself to preserve friendships or loves that no longer belonged. She thought holding tight was the way to protect her heart, but the cold winds of betrayal and the heavy rains of disappointment taught her otherwise. Each time she let go, like a petal falling gently to the ground to make way for a new spring, she found liberation. Each person removed is protection in disguise, and in that emptiness, she felt the presence of God, like warm sunlight filtering through the trees, warming a chilled soul. The woman who carries trust no longer fears departure. She understands that when God closes a door, he opens a new horizon, like the sky after a storm always shines clearer. She once wept, once felt the pain of loss, like waves crashing against rocky shores, but now, in the stillness of her soul, she sees the miracle. The silence after those who do not belong have left, like the pause between gusts of wind, is space for her to hear God's voice clearly. She prays, not to hold on to what is lost, but to say, Lord, take away anything not meant for me. And he has, gently, faithfully, like rain washing dust from leaves, leaving a pristine soul. The cherished woman, like a hill standing firm against the storm, no longer chases what does not belong to her. She stands still, trusting, and lets God shape her path. People may look at her and wonder, how can she be so calm when so many leave? They do not see that each departure is a gift, like autumn letting leaves fall to make way for spring. Those who trust in the Lord will find peace, like a river flowing gently through the valley. The woman who carries trust is not bitter, she becomes better. Not lonely, she becomes lighter. And in letting go, she finds herself like a star shining brighter when the night is still. When the silvery moonlight stretches across the quiet meadow, the preserved woman walks alone, but never lonely. She, the bearer of a steadfast heart, does not tremble before the silence of empty paths, or the moments when only the whisper of wind through branches keeps her company. Like a lighthouse standing tall amidst the sea, she shines in the darkness, not for the presence of a crowd, but for the companionship of God. Solitude, for her, is not a curse, but a sacred refuge, like the shade of an ancient oak in the midday heat, where her soul finds rest and strength. The preserved woman, like Miriam leading the people by the sea, has learned to be at home in her own soul, savouring the rhythm of a spirit enveloped by eternal love. The world may look at her, walking in peace, and think solitude is sorrow. They measure worth by noise, by clasped hands, but she knows that true companionship does not always come from people. In the long nights, when only the stars keep her company, she feels the presence of God, like a gentle breeze brushing her cheek, tender as a mother's touch. She is not lonely in her soul. She is surrounded by the unseen. She has walked through valleys where only her prayers echoed, but each step was supported, like a fragile flower rising from cold soil, unbowed by the frost of winter. The woman with a steadfast heart does not flee solitude to seek fleeting comfort. She does not fill the void with shallow laughter or insincere relationships, like a river refusing to rush into murky puddles. Instead, she chooses peace, like a lake calmly reflecting the blue sky. She once craved the presence of others, once felt silence like a burden, but through the seasons of life, she realized that Shirtor, those who are alone with God, will never be forsaken, like a star shining forever in the dark night. Solitude has become a space for her to hear God's voice clearly, to discover herself, like a mountain standing firm through centuries, needing no witness to know its worth. The preserved woman, like light shimmering on water, carries a quiet strength in solitude. She smiles when sitting alone on a park bench, humming hymns as the sun sets. She does not wait for someone to complete her, for she is whole in God's love. She does not fear empty chairs or deserted paths, for she knows heaven is setting a place at her table, like birds finding their nest after a long journey. Her solitude is a song, a declaration that she is loved, valued, named by the Creator. And in that stillness, she stands firm, unshaken by the world, like an oak remaining green despite the storms. When fierce winds howl through the valley, carrying black clouds, the anointed woman stands tall, like a mountain unmoved by the storm. She, the bearer of faith's strength, has faced words sharp as stones, malicious whispers behind her back, and schemes meant to wound her soul. But she does not fall. not because she is invincible, but because she is upheld by God's hand, like an ancient tree standing firm in a whirlwind, its roots clinging deep to the earth. The anointed woman, like Abigail with wisdom saving her household, has learned that each trial is a forge, turning scars into badges of survival, like radiant sunlight piercing the leaves after rain. Those who sought to destroy her hurled lies, trying to sow doubt in the garden of her reputation, like cold winds attempting to extinguish a warm flame. But she, walking in grace, does not repay with bitterness. She needs no stage to shout her truth, for her resilience is a louder proclamation than any words. She is proof that you can pass through hell without the smell of smoke. Each scar on her soul, like the rings of a tree, tells a story of triumph, of a woman who walked through fire but became pure gold, radiant as ever. The woman with faith's strength does not survive by luck, but by grace, like a river flowing over sharp rocks, yet remaining serene. When enemies dig pits, God paves a path for her to cross. When they whisper curses, God sings blessings over her, like birds chirping at dawn, dispelling the night's darkness. She has stumbled, felt her knees tremble under the weight of betrayal, but each time she fell, she heard a whisper from heaven, "You were made to rise." And she rises, not with pride but with faith, like wild grass pushing through concrete, letting no barrier stop her life. The anointed woman, like light sparkling on the sea, seeks no revenge. She lets God vindicate her through her ceaseless rising, her unshaken smile, the sweet fruit she bears despite enemies sowing famine. Those who stand firm in the Lord will not be defeated by any weapon, like a mountain enduring through ages. People may await her downfall, but God has written her triumph into her story. She walks, not bitter but better, not vengeful but visionary, like a sunflower always lifting its head toward the sun, no matter the darkness around. When the soft morning sunlight blankets the vast fields, the called woman walks with a quiet purpose, like water flowing silently underground, nurturing life without fanfare. She, the bearer of a humble soul, does not chase the spotlight or the crowd's applause. Instead, she chooses the path of obedience, like a tree standing still in the wind, needing no onlooker to know it grows. The called woman, like Lydia praying by the river, understands that her worth lies not in the world's recognition, but in the gentle gaze of heaven following her every step. While others race for attention, she, walking in preparation, works in silence, sowing seeds where no one sees, like rain falling quietly on a parched field, bringing life without demanding praise. She needs no announcement for her actions, for her life tells a story of grace and purpose. When a woman is chosen by God, she does not chase, she becomes. Each step she takes is a prayer, each deed a song, like a stream babbling in a deep forest, needing no audience to echo its beauty. The woman with a humble soul is not tempted by glittering opportunities. She knows that not every open door is from God, just as not every breeze leads a swallow to its nest. With wisdom honed by time, she waits, not with impatience, but with faith, like soil awaiting rain to sprout. She does not force blessings, but attracts them, like sunlight coaxing buds to bloom. Those who walk in obedience will see God's doors open, like the sky widening after a storm. People may wonder how she rises without promotion, how her name echoes in rooms she never entered. It is not her strength, but God's hand, like wind lifting a kite high without anyone seeing the string. The called woman, like the dawn's light spreading without noise, seeks no fanfare, for she knows that prominence without preparation is perilous, like a sapling growing too tall before its roots deepen. She is content in hiding, like a pearl concealed in an oyster, awaiting God's chosen moment to shine. In that stillness, she is preserved, built, like a hill staying green through seasons, needing no recognition to know its strength. And when the time comes, she steps forth, not desperate, not rushed, but radiant, like a star blazing when the night is deepest. When golden leaves fall gently to the ground, heralding autumn's arrival, the healed woman walks with a serene heart, unafraid of chapters closing. She, the bearer of hopeful eyes, does not cling to what has passed, like a river not holding tight to water that has flowed away. Instead, she turns a new page with peace, like warm sunlight filtering through sparse trees, bringing warmth to a new day. The healed woman, like Naomi returning to her homeland with faith, understands that each ending is a beginning ordained by God, each farewell a door to a greater purpose. In days past, she, walking in surrender, once trembled at the closing of a season. She tried to hold on to faded relationships, dreams no longer fitting, like a dry tree clutching leaves in the cold wind. But life's seasons taught her that clinging only delays destiny. Now she lets go, not with pride, but with faith, like a swallow leaving its nest to fly to new skies. If it's time to go, let it go. In that surrender, she finds strength, like grass regrowing after a wildfire, unconsumed by flames, stronger than ever. The woman with hopeful eyes does not argue with closed doors. She honors them, like the earth welcoming rain to nurture life. She once wept for losses, felt pain like waves crashing against rocks. But over time, she saw that each ending led to something better. Each person who left, like leaves falling to make way for new buds, created space for those who belong to enter. Those who trust in the Lord will see all things work together for good, like spring always following winter. She does not plead, does not bargain with what is temporary. She blesses what has passed and moves on, like moonlight shining despite clouds covering it. The healed woman, like a hill verdant after a storm, does not fear change. She knows that when God prunes, it is not to harm, but to heal, like a gardener trimming branches for sweeter fruit. She walks with light steps, eyes forward, like a seagull soaring over the ocean, not knowing the exact destination, but trusting its wings are guided. She does not need to understand everything, but she trusts everything, and in that faith, she finds freedom, like a sky opening wide after days of tempest. In the quiet moments of early morning, when birdsong blends with a gentle breeze, the illuminated woman stands still, opening her soul to receive God's whisper. She, the bearer of an obedient heart, is not swayed by the world's noise or urgent calls. Like a stalk of wheat standing tall in a field, she listens, not with ears, but with her entire spirit. Like dry soil welcoming the first raindrops, soaking deeply and nourishing. The illuminated woman, like Priscilla sharing God's word in ancient homes, knows that heaven's voice is a compass guiding her, soft yet clear, like the North Star in the night sky. She, walking in guidance, has learned to discern God's whisper amid countless voices. There were days she was swept by human advice, opinions loud like waves crashing on the shore. But she soon realized true wisdom comes from stillness. God's word whispers in the wind, and only those who pause can hear it. She does not rush, does not chase hasty decisions, like a river flowing slowly to find the right path. Instead, she prays, waits, and listens, like grass, sensing the earth's breath before rising. The woman with an obedient heart once walked in darkness, where God's voice seemed a distant memory. But through seasons of trials, She learned that voice never fades, only requiring her to pause to hear. Each whisper, like sunlight through leaves, guides her through narrow paths, through tough choices. She relies not on worldly logic, but on sacred intuition, like migrating birds flying thousands of miles by God-given instinct. Those who listen to God will find the way, like a stream always finding its path to the sea. People may wonder how she knows when to advance, when to pause, how she avoids traps others fall into. It is not her cleverness, but her obedience, like a sail catching the right wind to steer true. The illuminated woman, like the soft light of a candle, lives by God's whisper. She acts not from pressure, not from the world's urging, but from heaven's guidance, like a tree bending with the wind but not breaking. In that listening, she finds safety, clarity, and purpose, like a sky opening after days of clouds. She is proof that when you listen to God, you walk with confidence, like a star guiding travelers in the night. In the tender glow of sunset, when the day's last rays blend with a cool breeze, the blessed woman walks, carrying a peace that radiates like the scent of jasmine at dawn. She, the bearer of a tranquil soul, is unshaken by life's storms or the world's clamour. Like a still lake reflecting the blue sky, her presence reminds us that God is near, like nature's breath, gentle yet powerful. The Blessed Woman, like Anna praying ceaselessly in the temple, carries a sacred calm, not because she escapes suffering, but because she has learned to let it pass, like clouds drifting across the sky without leaving a trace. She, walking in eternal light, has endured days when her heart was heavy, when harsh words and losses piled like stones on her chest. But now she no longer carries those burdens. She has laid them at God's feet, like a river leaving sand along its banks, and in return, she received a profound peace, like moonlight glowing in the deep night. She carries peace like a fragrance, and where she goes, heaven leaves its mark. People sense her difference, not through words, but through her stillness, like a meadow exhaling scent after rain, needing no notice to remain vibrant. The woman with a tranquil soul does not seek peace from the world. She does not rely on recognition or fleeting moments to feel whole. Instead, she finds it in obedience, in quiet moments of prayer, like leaves rustling in the wind, echoing God's whisper. She knows that those who abide in God will carry peace beyond understanding, like a cool breeze unseen but felt by all. She has learned to stand still at the boundary of sorrow and joy, loss and hope, like a tree enduring seasons, unswayed by storms. The Blessed Woman, like the gentle light of dawn, needs no shout for the world to hear. Her peace is a wordless song, inviting those around her closer to God. People may wonder why she smiles despite life's challenges, why she walks with lightness though the world tries to pull her down. It is not her strength, but God's grace, like sunlight slipping through trees, bringing life to all it touches. She is proof that when you walk with God, you carry heaven, like wildflowers blooming amid dry stones, needing no praise to know their beauty. When the sunset falls, draping the world in a radiant golden veil, the spiritual woman stands there, like a lighthouse in the night sea, shining not for the world's gaze, but because God's light burns brightly in her soul. Her journey, woven from 8 sacred signs, is a song of faith, resilience, and peace. She sees through the mask of deception, like moonlight illuminating the darkness, undeceived by sweet words or smiles hiding schemes. She lets go of what does not belong, like a river releasing leaves to drift, finding peace in trust. In solitude, she stands firm, like a lighthouse in the sea, communing with God in powerful stillness. Through trials, she rises, like wild grass piercing concrete, bearing scars as badges of victory. She lives with quiet purpose, like a pearl hidden in an oyster, needing no spotlight to shine. She embraces endings with faith, like golden leaves falling to make way for spring, knowing God writes a new chapter. She listens to God's whisper, like a swallow following the sky's breeze, letting her heart guide every path. And above all, she carries peace like the scent of jasmine, spreading heaven wherever she goes. The spiritual woman does not merely survive life's storms. She shines, like a star glowing forever in the dark night, for she is named, sheltered, and loved by the Creator. Her journey is an invitation to you, to me, to every woman walking in God's light. You need not be perfect, nor invincible. Only open your heart to God's guidance, like a river flowing with His current. Those who walk with God will carry His light, like a flame that never fades. Rise, embrace your dignity, like wildflowers blooming amid dry stones, like sunlight piercing clouds. Let your story be proof that in every season of life you are loved, protected, and called to shine.